You know, in the incredibly tough world of divorce and custody battles, a protection order, it's supposed to be a shield, right? A way to protect vulnerable people. But what happens when that shield gets turned into a sword? That's what we're digging into today, the claim that domestic violence allegations are sometimes used as a tactical weapon in family court.
And it even has a name, which is kind of chilling when you think about it. The silver bullet method. And this isn't some made-up term. It comes straight from legal magazines. The idea is that these allegations can act like a silver bullet, a way to cut through all the usual legal processes and get a quick, decisive advantage right at the start.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, what exactly is this silver bullet? Then we'll look at the first 10 days, which are absolutely crucial. We'll get into the pressure of the whole process, the human and financial toll it takes, this sort of war of narratives that emerges, and finally, how the system tries to balance protection and justice. Okay, so let's start with defining this silver bullet. What is this tactic, really? Well, it's all about gaining an immediate advantage. So here's the strategy in a nutshell. A person alleges abuse, and the claim is that they're doing this to basically bypass the slower family court system. The goal? To get an immediate win through the criminal court system, specifically when it comes to who gets the house and who gets the kids. It's a way to get a fast-track decision on the two biggest things people fight over. Right, so that brings us to the next part. The first 10 days. And this is where everything happens so fast. We're talking about how a temporary order can just completely change everything, almost overnight. So how is this even possible? Well, it's because of something in the legal world called an ex parte order. Basically, that just means from one side. A judge can grant this order based on hearing from just one person, the accuser, without the other person even being there. Now, there's a really important reason for this. If someone is in real danger, you need to act fast. The system is built to err on the side of caution. It's like, better to act now and ask questions later, because the risk of not protecting a genuine victim is seen as way too high. So let's walk through what this looks like. It's incredibly fast. Step 1. Someone files for a protective order with their story. Step 2. A judge looks at it and, again, erring on the side of caution, grants a temporary restraining order, a TRO, right away. Then, step 3. Law enforcement shows up at your house or your job and serves you with the papers. And then step 4 is the big one. You have to leave. Right then. You're out of your house and you're ordered to have zero contact with the accuser, and often your own kids. Your entire life is upended. And your first chance to even tell your side of the story? That's scheduled for about 10 days later. So you're out of your house, away from your kids. What happens next? Well, that leads us to the pressure of the process. It's kind of a crazy thought, but we're going to explore why someone who is completely innocent might end up pleading guilty. A huge part of this pressure comes from a legal concept called a rebuttable presumption. It sounds complicated, but here's what it means. If a court decides that an act of domestic violence happened, the default position, the presumption, is that it's not in the child's best interest for you to have custody. Suddenly, the whole game is flipped. It's no longer about them proving you're a bad parent, it's about you proving you're a good one. And let me tell you, that is an incredibly steep hill to climb. And this quote, wow, it just nails it. It's from a legal review, and it says that for a lot of people, the pretrial process is the punishment. Think about that. Before you're ever found guilty or innocent, you've already lost your home, access to your kids, your reputation's in tatters. The process itself becomes the penalty. So imagine you're in this situation. You've got 2 doors in front of you. Behind door number 1, you fight the allegation. That means a long, crazy, expensive trial. You're still separated from your home and your kids the whole time, and at the end, you risk a major conviction that could ruin your life. Now, behind door number 2, you accept a plea. That means it's over quickly. You might get to go home sooner. Usually it's for a much lesser charge, maybe something that's not even a criminal offense. You avoid all the trauma and the cost of a trial. You can see why, even if you did nothing wrong, door number 2 starts to look pretty tempting, right? And that choice leads us right into our next section, the human and financial cost. Because no matter what happens, the aftermath of an accusation can be absolutely devastating. First, let's just talk about the money. We're talking about a potential cost of over $100,000. That's according to reports from Legal Pros. I mean, think about that. That's not just expensive, that's life-ruining for most people. It's enough to bankrupt a family completely. But the financial cost, that might not even be the worst of it. The psychological toll is just brutal. We're talking about PTSD, real, diagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder. Depression, severe anxiety, panic attacks. People feel completely alone, socially isolated, and just hopeless. It's an immense trauma to go through.
And you can hear that feeling of injustice in this public comment from someone named Jose Jimenez. He said, "I filed for divorce, and my ex successfully petitioned for a DVRO based upon false allegations. Convicted without due process is the reality." That phrase, convicted without due process, really captures the heart of what people in this situation feel.
Okay, now we need to take a step back, because this is not a simple one-sided story. It's really a war of narratives, and there are some really important counter-arguments we have to look at.
And look at this. This shows just how messy the debate is. When you ask, how often are abuse allegations in custody cases false, the estimates are all over the place. Some studies say it's as low as 2%. Others say it could be as high as 35%. That enormous gap tells you everything you need to know about how controversial and hard to pin down this issue really is.
And here's the other side of the coin, and it's a powerful one. Many sources argue that actually men lie about this stuff way more often, and that most claims of abuse are in fact legitimate. They'll point out that for every false claim, there are countless women who are too scared to report real abuse. So from this perspective, focusing on the silver bullet idea is dangerous because it takes attention away from the much, much bigger problem of underreported domestic violence. In fact, some argue that the whole "I was falsely accused" narrative can be a manipulation tactic itself. It's a textbook move called DARVO. That stands for deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. The abuser will deny what they did, attack the person they abused, and then completely flip the script to make it seem like they are the real victim. It's a classic way to dodge responsibility. So where does that leave us? It leaves us right here, balancing protection and justice. We're looking at a system that is under a tremendous amount of strain. This really breaks down the dilemma. On one hand, the system's goal is to act super fast, to protect real victims. But the risk? That speed can be manipulated by someone just trying to get a tactical advantage. The goal is to keep children safe immediately. The risk? An innocent parent can get separated from their kids. The goal is to hold abusers accountable. But the risk is that the process itself becomes the punishment, and it can push innocent people to just give up. And that really is the core challenge, isn't it? The system has to be sensitive enough to protect people who are truly vulnerable, but it also has to be tough enough to resist being manipulated. It's an incredibly fine line to walk. So it all comes down to this one central question. How does a justice system provide immediate, necessary protection to the vulnerable without accidentally creating a weapon for the manipulative? It's a tough question with no simple answer, and it's something that courts and families struggle with every single day.